Wonderful. Thank you all for your patience. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Colleen Doherty. I am a program coordinator with the Center for Research and Fellowships, and thank you so much for joining us today for our info session on the Truman Scholarship. So, like I said, we are recording today's session for folks that can't make it. And so this will also be available for you all who are on the chat, we're on the call with us today to review later on as well. So as long as you have joined our listserv, you will get the link to the recording. So a little bit about us. So my name is Colleen Doherty. I am a program coordinator with the center. I use she, her pronouns. I am relatively new to Georgetown, so I joined the center team about a month ago. Prior to that, I worked for NASPA, Student Affairs Administrators in Higher Education, which is a nonprofit member association for folks that work on college campuses and in universities. And so I have a lot of, my background is mostly working with their grants and scholarship programs. And so in terms of grants and scholarships, I am very familiar that way. And our senior associate, or I should say our senior director, is Lauren Tuckley. If and when she sees this, I apologize, Lauren, for not including your correct title. And we are two staff members of the Center for Research and Fellowships, formerly GoFar. For all of you who may have been on one of our various webinars and workshops in the past, we had a little bit of a name change, which is lovely and a lot more succinct in terms of what we do. For those of you who are not familiar with us, we are the center here at Georgetown that supports students as well as alumni in preparing and applying for competitive scholarship and fellowship applications. Truman included, obviously, or else you wouldn't be here today. Some of the other programs that we advise on are Fulbright. So if actually a few of you I see on the call are current or previous Fulbright applicants, as well as Rhodes and Marshall scholarships, and as well as many others. In terms of mine and Lauren's and really our center's philosophy around the work that we do, we are here to help you be the best, not only the best applicant that you can be, but how is this process going to help you in your overall and holistic development as a student while you're here at Georgetown or as an alum moving forward. What can we do to help you not only be a competitive applicant, but use all of the knowledge and expertise that we have and that you have, that you've gained over your time here to really be the best candidate for anything that you're going to be doing moving forward. And as well as how can you use all of that knowledge and expertise to continue your own development. So we're really here to help you be the best person that you can be. In terms of what is a fellowship, so the fellowships that we're talking about provide funding and support for opportunities that are going to help you in your academic and professional development. So it could be a study abroad type of fellowships like Fulbright, or cultural engagement type of fellowships like Fulbright, critical language study, any type of fellowship or scholarship that is promoting or funding any kind of independent research or projects. Again, Fulbright, Rhodes, Marshall, Truman, all are examples of those, as well as both internal and external internships, academic and cultural programs, and research programs. So in terms of our research programs that we offer, we are we help to organize many research programs here on campus. If you've ever done summer undergraduate research here at Georgetown, you've most likely gone through our office, unless you've gone through your specific school. And this is where I'm going to show you a little bit about our website. So if you've never checked out our website, this is a great opportunity to do that. This will, on our website, we kind of give a good rundown of the various research opportunities that we offer here at Georgetown, as well as connecting you with on-campus and off-campus research opportunities. We provide many resources around research opportunities, whether it's picking your research question, how to develop your plan for your research, for everything from picking that research question all the way through developing your full research plan, how to approach faculty members to potentially be a resource, I should say, I should say, a research mentor, as well as structuring your proposal and many more things. When it comes to fellowships, especially this, we offer advising opportunities and programs for a small number of fellowships that require institutional nomination. And so you can explore on this section of the website the full list of fellowships that require nomination through the university. And these are the ones that we provide specific and structured advising on. Again, Truman being one of them. We also provide university with those programs that do not require university endorsement. We will still provide you feedback and support on the application process. And so again, take some time if you haven't already to explore these sections of the website. We also offer webinars and workshops. All of our past webinars and workshops are recorded and included on the website, as well as or I should say, you can find them here on the website. And if there are any others additionally that you're looking for that aren't hosted here, you can always reach out to us and we will send those over to you. You can also check in on the web or find on the website past recipients of from Georgetown of all of these sponsored fellowships that that we advise on. So if you go to the 2020, 2021 page, you can see all of the 3 finalists for Truman from last year and as well as from years back. So that's a little bit about what we do here at the center. To link this back to Truman, the Truman Foundation, or I should say, the Truman Scholarship is just one of the programs that the Truman Foundation offers. The Truman Foundation was created really as a memorial to Harry Truman, our 33rd president, who didn't want a physical memorial of any kind. He wanted his memorial to be more of a living and ongoing opportunity for Americans to give back through public service. And so the Truman Foundation was founded, and the Truman Scholarship is one of the more notable or well-known of the scholarships that the Truman Foundation offers. And the main purpose for this scholarship is to really give life to the values of Truman's career, and again, for Americans to give back through acts of public service and work of public service. And so when we're talking about public service, or I should say the Truman Foundation defines public service in a very, very broad way. So when the Truman Foundation is talking about public service, or when you're thinking about public service in relation to the Truman Scholarship, they're looking at everything from not just government service, but education, public health, any kind of work that is doing public good and that is doing good for the American public overall. Or I should say, the individuals that are selected as finalists for the Truman Scholarship are individuals who are looking to and have started to make systemic change across the board. So when we're thinking about public service, we're thinking at a very broad, very high level when it comes to work being done here in the US. So what is it? What's the scholarship, right? So the scholarship is $30,000 towards a public service related graduate degree. It can include a JD, MPAs, Master's in Public Service, Master's in Public Health. It can even be extended to an MD or many other degree programs. That being said, $30,000, we all know, it doesn't really go a really long way when it comes to degree programs, even for master's programs that are only 1 to 2 years, or could be 1 to 2 years, depending on the program and the institution. That being said, many graduate universities have matching funds or funding programs to match the funds for the Truman Scholarship. And so while Truman is not going to be the full funding for your degree program should you receive it, but it will get you a really long way in terms of your scholarships and towards paying the tuition for your degree program. In addition to that, the recipients of the Truman Scholarship attend a week-long leadership experience, usually in late May of their junior year. This is an opportunity for the individuals who have received the scholarship to take part in workshops that will help them to really broaden their vision and expand their vision and make concrete plans on the public service work or projects that they're hoping and planning to do moving forward in their career, as well as hearing from past scholars, networking with current scholars and past scholars, and it's a really good opportunity for not only for you to meet the current individuals who are doing the work with you on the ground at this time, as well as folks that have received Truman scholarships in the past. And there are some really incredible folks that have been Truman Scholars, right? And so it's a really great opportunity to not only hear from them and hear about the work that they've done, but also to like network and actually meet these folks. In addition to that, the Truman Scholars take part in an 8-week summer institute here in DC after college graduation, which all of you are here at Georgetown. Not super exciting to travel to DC and be in DC for 8 weeks, but it's still a lot of fun because you're again working with and meeting the other folks that are part of your program, and it's again providing you more opportunities to expand on and plan the work that you're hoping to do. And again, not just in those 2 experiences, but really lifelong opportunities for networking and mentorship with past Truman Scholars, as well as other folks doing this public service work. So these are some of our past recipients of the Truman Scholarship and some of the work that they are doing. Obviously, these are really shortened, succinct overviews of what they've worked on, but you can read a little bit more about the work that they have done or on the recipients page of the CRF website. All really phenomenal, amazing folks who are doing fantastic work. And we're hoping to get, unfortunately, with schedules being what they are and all these folks either being currently in their graduate programs or currently working, unable to meet with us today. However, we're hoping to get them a couple of folks to meet with us in a future workshop in the next few weeks. So, you know what the Truman Scholarship is, at least now, 30,000 foot view, no pun really intended there. But what does it mean? Who's eligible moving forward? So you have to be a US citizen because this is a program. The intention and history of the program is for American citizens to give back and do public service and public work. So you do have to be a US citizen. You have to be a current junior. So that means you have to be planning to graduate between December 2022 and August 2023. And that is a very hard window of time. So if you are not going to be graduating that window of time, unfortunately, you are not eligible. That being said, doesn't matter how old you are, doesn't matter what your major is, and you can be applying to almost any graduate degree or program. There are some exceptions because the Truman Scholarship Program is a public service focused and based program. And the intention is for you all, to be doing public work and public service moving forward. There are certain types of degree programs that, unless we are extremely specific about the work that you are planning to do moving forward in your career, the applicants and the reviewer, or I should say the reviewers and the Truman Foundation don't look at as being strong candidates for the program. So a good example of that is if you are looking to get your MBA, because unless you are like looking to do something maybe like related to taxes or like tax law or something in that realm that is business related, but public service focused, or public focused. The Truman Foundation is not going to look at that as carefully as something like an MD or an MPP or an MPH, or something, or JD or something in those realms. So what makes a good Truman Scholar, right? So when we're thinking about that public work, public service, and this being an extremely competitive program, there are sort of three main areas that the Truman Foundation is looking at when they are reviewing applications and reviewing, really going through the entire review process. So the first thing is leadership. So they're really looking for folks who are doing really outstanding, incredible leadership, or have outstanding leadership potential that is really shown through their experiences, and like very clearly demonstrated interest in public work and public service. So, they're really looking at folks who are looking to make systemic change at a very high level. So while a good example of this is like, if you are, I say this with all due respect, coming from a family of educators, teaching is an incredible profession and changes lives literally every day. My sister is a teacher in the Philadelphia public school system, and she is actually she's changing lives every single day. However, from the perspective of the Truman Foundation, they're going to give her kudos and be like, thank you for your work, but they are looking for folks that are have goals of working at some of the highest levels of the education system in the US, if you're looking at it from an education lens. They're looking for folks that want to be making change, like working through the Department of Education, or working at high levels of the education system in their state, or another example is like public health, or doctors every day, especially over the past year and a half, are saving lives all the time, and doing it at the expense of burnout and their own mental health, just to keep our nation going. And while being a doctor is, again, one of the most incredible things that you can do with your career, and it is literally life-saving every day, from the perspective of the Truman Foundation, they're looking at the highest levels. So they want to see folks that are doing systemic change across the country, or across large scales of their community, not just the small scale. So when we're talking about leadership and being a change agent, they're talking about at the very highest levels in terms of that leadership and that work. They are also looking for folks that have a really extensive record and demonstrated interest of public and community service. So not just folks that are doing work on a small scale, on while thinking about maybe some of the experiences that you all have had on campus, experiences that I also had on campus, being in student government, or being a student leader in a student organization, or being on the board of your fraternity or sorority. They're looking for folks that are making larger scale change across the community, or across your communities. So whether it's here in Georgetown, here in DC, sort of on the city level, or in your own hometowns or home communities, they're looking for folks that are doing really broad scale work across those communities, and doing large scale community and public service work. And again, that commitment being showed through, that commitment being showed through this public service and through this work. So, a really outstanding Truman Scholar is someone who is doing that work at those much higher levels than just kind of volunteering at your local food bank a couple of times a month. They're looking at folks who are on the board of the food bank, or on, working, rallying their community on a much larger scale to work with folks who are experiencing homelessness, or thinking on that much higher scale rather than just that very minute scale. Oh, keep doing that. So thinking about the application, and this is where our office plays a big role in working with you. So the application is a 14 question packet, looking at those leadership experiences, looking at those public service experiences, providing specific examples of what those things that you've done, and what changes that you have made within your community, or through those experiences, the problem or issue that you're looking to address. So what is it? What is the specific question that you are looking to address through your work in public service, whether it is, whatever your focus is, whether it's education focused, immigration focused, disability rights, working with public health, whatever it is that your focus is, like, what is the specific problem or issue that you are seeking to address through your work in public service? Obviously, they're going to be asking about the graduate program and your short-term and long-term goals. So this is where the Center for Research and Fellowships myself and Lauren will be working with you all to really hone in what it is about answering each of these questions, working with you to really streamline those answers so that it is an engaging application. It really wants the reader to know more about you, about the work that you're doing, and wants to immediately give you this $30,000 to go and get your graduate degree so that you can finally go and do this work. The policy proposal, so what is it that, so you've given them what's the question, what's the problem that you're seeking to answer, how are you going to do it? And then from there, 3 letters of recommendation, one speaking to your leadership experience, and how has that changed you, the folks that you've worked with, your public service experience, and your academic experience. One question that I know we get often is also about GPA. So when it comes to the GPA, there is a threshold that Truman does require. However, the GPA or your GPA is less of an issue overall and more related to, they're going to be looking at your application very holistically. And so they're going to be looking at, do you have the academic rigor, or do you have the academic credentials to get into the graduate program that you are seeking? So if you are seeking a degree from Yale Law, Harvard Law, Georgetown Law, and you have a 3.2 GPA, that may be an issue. Versus a different type of program, a different institution, the GPA may not be as big of an issue, depending on what your focus is or what your degree program is. So that's a little bit about actually, and I'm going to actually show y'all the application. If I can find my windows, it would be great. All right, so in terms of the application. So just a quick overview of the application, right? So obviously it's a very basic form, asking all those questions that they're going to need anyway. Asking about your academic experience, your activities and engagement experience, both in college and high school. And then we get into the public service and community activities. So, what is it, the work that you have done throughout your career or throughout your life that fits in with what Truman is looking for. And so again, this is like where we will help you to sort of hone your application in terms of like what it is that they're looking for. You know, what government activities have you been part of? You know, what jobs have you had, or non-government internships have you had since graduating high school? You know, what awards and scholarships have you received? What are some examples of your leadership and leadership style and your abilities? What are, you know, some examples of public service or public service activity that you've done in the past? You know, what, and again, this is where we get into like, what is it the problem, or like the thing that you are looking to solve, again, on that broader scale. And then when it comes to the policy proposal, you know, it is literally just like, how do you propose to address that problem in 500 words? Which again, it is writing something that short and succinct for such a large scale problem can be really daunting. And, you know, that is what we're here for. You know, myself and Lauren will be here to help you hone your application, help you like get this to a point that it is succinct, concise, but really hits all of the things that Truman and the Truman Foundation is looking for. Yeah. So when it comes to the overall process for us and for the center, so Georgetown University gets 7 spots to nominate individuals for the Truman program, or for eligibility or for the application process. So we get 4 students who have started, there's 4 spots for students that started at Georgetown their freshman year, first year, and will finish their degree at Georgetown. Then we also have 3 spots for transfer students. So you started your degree program or your college, your undergraduate experience elsewhere. You know, you were a first-year student at another institution that was not Georgetown, and you have transferred in. And so altogether we get 7 spots. It comes down to 4 students that started here at Georgetown their first year, 3 who did not. And we note this because it is before we even get to the point of getting you to Truman and submitting your final application to Truman for their review process, it is already very, very competitive because we get so many folks that are interested, that fit all of these bills, right? That fit all of these things that we're looking for and that the Truman Foundation is looking for, but we only get 7 spots to nominate folks. And even then, when we get past that point and you have been selected through our campus proposal process, even then you get forwarded on to the full process through the Truman Foundation that is also incredibly competitive. Last year they had 900 people apply for 50 to 60 spots because each state, then it goes by state, each state by your home state. So even though you're applying through Georgetown here in DC, it goes by your home state, gets 1 to 2 candidates or 1 to 2 individuals who will represent their state through Truman. So my hometown is in New Jersey. I'm from Jersey City, New Jersey originally. And so if I were a college junior and applied for this program and, you know, fit all of these and went and got it, I would be competing then against all of the folks who are applying, whose hometowns are also in New Jersey. And so once you even get through Georgetown's process, then you get to the Truman Foundation's process, and you're then competing against essentially the folks from your home state. So what is our process? What does that look like? So we have an internal deadline of October 27th to submit your application to us. And we use Truman's application that you will then submit to us for the internal deadline on October 27th for 2 reasons. One, we've got everything that Truman wants right there in front of us. That way, if and when you do get through our process, we have already hit all of, we already have that first draft of your application, and then we will work with you all the way up to the February 1st deadline to hone and revise and edit your application so that it is as competitive as it can be when you get to the point of submitting with Truman. Our process, once you submit to us, your applications will be reviewed by a committee, mostly made up of some faculty and staff from here at Georgetown, but also past Truman applicants through us. So some of the folks that were on the screen earlier who have received the Truman in the past through through us, or that were Georgetown University students, will sit on that committee to review your applications, and then we'll do some interviews in early December, and then you will be notified if you've been selected as one of our 7 nominees in mid-December. And then from there, we'll again work with you to help hone your application over the course of that next month and a half to get us to the February 1st deadline. We will be holding workshops throughout the month of October to kind of give a better, more in-depth rundown of what it is that Truman is looking for, things to include in your application to us, and things to help you prepare for submitting on October 27th. If you haven't joined our listserv already, you can email fellowships@georgetown.edu, and I'll put that in the chat at the end of the session. And it'll actually be on the final slide. For you all, if you haven't joined the listserv, email us there to get added to the listserv, so that way you can learn all about the dates and times of those workshops. Again, those workshops will also be recorded, so if you are unable to attend, you will get all of that. You'll have all of that information available for you, and then you submit on the 27th, and we'll go from there. So what is the process like once you have submitted to Truman? So you're done, dusted, go through us, you've been nominated, you've finalized your application, you submit on February 1st. What happens then? So then it goes to the Truman Foundation for their review process. You are informed whether or not you are a finalist by February 18th, and you will be, and then you go to an interview process. The interview process goes through, or I should say, they haven't announced the dates for the interview process yet. It's usually, obviously, it's somewhere sort of between February, and I must go February 19th and sort of in that spring, sort of in March. Because then after the interview process is done, then they select, it goes to the final selection process, and you'll be informed whether or not you have been selected as a Truman Scholar on April 15th or before April 15th, and then it's announced on the, or I should say it's announced on the website on April 15th. So this is a months-long process for obviously a very big and very important scholarship. So a little bit about, these are some reflections from some of our past applicants, and applicants being folks that went through us. So this is their experience, what it was like through going through our program with the center. So, and I'll read for folks that would prefer that. So I truly got a lot out of the process. For me, I think the Truman was a great way to put into writing my plan for the coming years. Even if I don't stick to it exactly, creating and getting input on my blueprint for involvement in public service has been so clarifying, reflective, and valuable to me. I feel much more focused now after nearly 5 months of critically thinking through what I want to do and how I plan to get there. In the mess that can be student life at Georgetown, it can be difficult to set aside time for that. To anyone who is thinking of applying and is doubtful along the way, like myself, I would say that there is truly nothing to lose in the process. The Truman application process has been one of the most challenging yet rewarding experiences in my life. I was forced to reflect on my identity, my experiences, and the steps I need to take to be the change agent that I dream to be. Whether I receive the scholarship or not, I feel empowered to create equity and economic opportunities for marginalized communities. So that wraps the presentation itself. I will stick in the chat our email address to reach us should you need to be added to the listserv. And actually, I'm gonna, for the folks that are viewing the recording, wow, this is like the worst way to have done it. That's fine. So there we go. That's close enough. So for folks that for the folks watching the recording, thank you so much for joining us for the recording. I am going to stop the recording now. But if you have any specific questions, want to get added to our listserv, please email us at fellowships@georgetown.edu and we'll get you added to the listserv.